Hello everyone, this is John from Flippin' Ain't Easy. Thought I'd make a quick video, but a long enough video to talk about what I thought was important. I'm making this late because I'm just reading about it this evening. And I say late for the US folks, it's early for the folks in the UK. And this was an interesting article that I read courtesy of Value Added Resources or resource.net, valueaddedresource.net. And the article is about how eBay, effective as you're watching this video, the 8th of April, eBay is going to permanently, that means this is a permanent thing, they're going fee-free on pre-loved used clothing from private sellers in the UK. Private meaning non-business sellers. So it looks like this might be a test thing, but I wanted to go over the article with you guys as I'm just seeing this a few minutes ago. And I know a lot of you folks that watch the channel from the UK are getting up. It's quite early in the morning where you're at, but by the time you get up, have your tea or coffee, you'll be checking this out, and you'll be able to get a jump on getting your clothing listed. Now, let's go to the article. It says eBay goes permanently fee-free on pre-loved clothing from private sellers in UK. And I'll try to blow this thing up so you can see it a little bit better. So starting April 8th, private sellers in the UK will no longer pay final value or regulatory fees on sales of pre-owned clothing as eBay continues strategy shift back to core customer seller roots. Now, if there's any takeaway that I would think all of us sellers would enjoy seeing is this last sentence. eBay continues to strategy shift back to core consumer seller roots, regardless of what they do at this point. If that is their goal, then I'm behind it 100%. Now, let's just caveat that. I said regardless of what they do at this point. If that involves like jacking up fees or doing something outrageous, then I'm not for that. But it looks like they're trying to do something a little different here. And it kind of makes you wonder, before we get too far into the article, makes you wonder why. Now, Mercari recently pushed the fees over to the buyer. Now, that's not what's happening here. And we'll get into the article. eBay generally doesn't make changes when there's a loss of revenue for them. I mean, you would think that if they're having private sellers get on here to, sell their goods or their clothing, that, what are they going to get? Promoted listing fees? Are they going to angle that? So just trying to figure that out. But maybe you guys can help me in the comments down below, kind of understand what the angle is here from eBay. Now, it goes on to say, as long as sellers stay within their allocation of 1,000 free listings every month, they won't be charged a listing fee, but other fees may apply. Optional upgrades are added or an item is sold to an overseas buyer. So you're talking optional upgrades, your promoted listing fees, that type of thing. This is how does free selling for pre-owned clothes work? Selling pre-owned clothes on ebay.co.uk is now free for UK-based private sellers, which means you'll no longer have to pay transaction fees, final value fee, and regulatory operating fee when these items sell. For clothing listings, private sellers will only incur fees for any of the following: optional listing upgrades, that's your promoted listings, sending items internationally, and using promoted listings to place advertisement. So I'm kind of wondering now, I was thinking that the first option had something to do with promoted listings, but apparently it's not. So when we're saying optional listing upgrades, maybe your bold titles, maybe your gallery photo, maybe your subtitles, you have to pay extras for that, which is a given. And it's the same in the US. All items listed in clothing categories on ebay.co.uk by UK Private, which is non-business. So if you're set up for business on your seller account, you're going to be charged insertion fees and final value fees for those clothing items. So make sure that you know if you are business or personal, in this case, non-business, before you start, getting your stuff up. Sellers are eligible for free selling, excluding categories such as accessories, hats, footwear, watches, bags, and jewelry. So if you have any of these things that you think are included in clothing, like accessories, hats, footwear, watches, bags, and jewelry, well, eBay does not consider that clothing, and that would be charged your normal final value fees for those categories. Free selling applies to all sales of pre-owned clothing from the 8th of April, which is today, including items that were listed on ebay.co.uk before the 8th that haven't yet sold. So if you already have clothing listed on ebay.co.uk, then any sales that happen from now on, even if you have those listed, is going to be covered by that policy. Interestingly, eBay is not limiting this policy by condition. Both new or used conditions qualify, as eBay defines pre-owned clothes as items you no longer want or need in a variety of conditions. For example, an outfit that no longer fits, an unwanted gift, or vintage fashion that needs a new home. These items can be new or used. Selling clothing for free on eBay is a great way to make some extra cash. If you sell an item of pre-owned clothing and the delivery address entered at checkout is outside of the UK, you won't be charged transaction fees. However, you will still be charged an international fee. Now, I'm wondering, though, if it's anything like the US, even if they're in the UK and let's say they have a US address on file, if you'll be charged an international fee. That's the way it is here in the US. If somebody, let's say overseas, is here in the US, buys something, and they're registered overseas as sellers, we're still paying that fee, even though the item is being delivered within the US. So it may or may not be that way. It doesn't seem to distinguish that. Items listed on other eBay marketplaces, like the main US.com site or eBay FR, which is eBay France, will still be subject to selling fees as defined for those marketplaces. Best of all, the FAQ specifically says this is a permanent change and also gets rid of recently introduced regulatory fees on these transactions as well. Let's see. Is this temporary change? The removal of transaction fees, the final value fees, and regulatory operating fees for private sales of pre-owned clothing isn't temporary, meaning sellers will continue to enjoy the benefits of selling their pre-owned clothes for free. Goes on to say eBay has previously tested fee-free selling for private UK sellers across all categories with a limited time offer as part of their plans to boost consumer-to-consumer C2C and small business sales on the platform in what they are calling the Fix, the fundamental aspect of UK win-back plan. So at least to me, they're formulating a plan, rolling it out for the UK folks first. Why this isn't done globally, really your guess is as good as mine. This is a permanent thing, so it's not like it's a temporary test. You would think sometimes they would do a test market like the UK, and then if it works out well, they roll it out to ebay.com in the US. But this is permanent. So what does that mean for other markets? Is this something that's in the works for other markets? I'd like to see what they have to say about that. This article goes on to talk about what Jamie Iannone said back in 2020. Not so interested in rehashing that. There is a thought, and I'm going to try to get to it here, that eBay has been surveying buyers about C2C, customer-to-customer initiatives with a possible revival of the eBay It Forward campaign briefly tested in early 2021, featuring a wide range of items such as kitchen appliances, outdoor equipment, home goods, and more, with a theme of sell what didn't work out to make room for what does. And I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully that happens. In another sign that the vertical focus strategy may be on its way out. Now, the vertical focus strategy is your sneakers. Let's focus on sneakers. Let's really set up an authentication program. Let's put a lot of money and resources into these featured categories, your watches, your trading cards, things of that nature that were propped up. And while I don't necessarily think there's going to be an end to the authentication programs and the different aspects of selling in those categories, I really feel from what I've read, and like this article is kind of going into, that eBay is going to finally start focusing on the categories that the majority of the sellers seem to be on. And why not start with clothing, since most sellers that I know of, most sellers sell clothing. Heck, I even have clothing that I sell. And another sign that the vertical focus strategy may be on its way out, eBay shut down dedicated social media accounts for sneakers and watches this week, directing users back to the main eBay channels for support and announcements going forward. That's pretty big. So it shows that maybe they're finally listening to seller feedback, which is what we've been wanting for a long time. While this doesn't affect U.S. sellers right now, U.S. sellers need to look at this as a shift by eBay, as good news as to what may be coming down the road in the future. A month from now, 6 months from now, 1 year, 2 years from now, but at least we have an idea of where eBay's kind of going, and that's good news. Now, why this is being reported by Value Added Resource and not on eBay's website is beyond me. And they go on to say, meanwhile, competitors Depop and Mercari have announced their own no-selling fee initiatives to try to win over C2C sellers. But while they have both shifted some, if not all, of the fee burden directly to buyers, notably, eBay's initiatives so far have not included instituting buyer fees. Mercari in particular has angered both buyers and sellers, and eBay has clearly taken note, pointing out that there are no selling or buying fees and no need to request a withdrawal that may incur additional fees. So eBay is seeing what Mercari has done, and they've taken note to the feedback on both sides of the transaction and are doing away with the bad. I think that's good. It's getting a feel for the community. It's a feel and sense of the community that we didn't think that they had. Now, maybe they were so focused on these featured categories that they were just drowning out all the feedback that sellers have been giving them through direct communication with eBay, through their check-ins and that type of thing, and or videos like this, channels like this on YouTube talking about eBay's lack of focus on other categories. And so this is, I think, really good news. Now, this looks like it was put out by eBay. I have not been able to find this outside of the valueaddedresource.net. I have not been able to find this on eBay, but it says, keep your fits fresh always with no selling or buying fees. Sell your past loves and discover a world of pre-owned fashion on eBay. And why sell your clothes on eBay? It's now free, no selling fees on a pre-loved clothes, even on your existing listings, so you can pocket more from your pieces. It's easy and fast. Listing is simple, and as soon as you make a sale, your payment is sent directly to your bank account. No need to withdraw the funds. It's safe and secure. As a seller, you're protected from events beyond your control, so you can make money without worry. So they're building up more sellers, individual, everyday, casual sellers. And I really do believe, the more casual sellers you can attract to the platform, these sellers are going to turn into buyers. Not all of them, a percentage of them. More activity on both sides of the transaction you can generate. I think it's better overall for the platform. Now, the article goes on to say, by limiting the fee breaks to private sellers in clothing categories, eBay can more easily absorb the loss of some selling fees without having to risk upsetting buyers by shifting the fee burden. Foregoing listing and commission fees may seem surprising, but eBay is desperate to reverse the now 7-quarter-long trend of having less active buyers than in 2018 and may be willing to burn cash in order to try to stop the hemorrhaging to show a return to growth in buyer numbers and GMV by the end of the year. Now, these consumer sellers may also choose to opt in to the growing plethora of eBay's promoted listings, cost per click, and cost per sale advertising schemes, especially in saturated categories like clothing, which will certainly help take the sting out of the loss of other fees and ads continue to be a major source of revenue growth for eBay. It's not unusual for eBay to test initiatives in smaller markets. So while this initiative is only in the UK at this time, it will not be surprising if something similar comes to the US later this year. In fact, the eBay careers page has also recently had an ad for a director US C2C selling and others for a product manager who will be responsible for the native listings experience for C2C sellers. That's very good news. That means that there is a renewed focus coming for C2C sellers. Again, that's customer to customer sellers. That's the average everyday seller like you and I and buyer like you and I on the platform. That's assuming you buy on eBay. Besides the fee structure, what would you recommend the eBay should focus on to win back consumer to consumer and small business sellers on the platform? And let us know in the comments below, but let us know in the comments below in this video. Again, thank you to Liz Morton from Value Added Resource for putting this article together. This shows the active buyers from 2018 to 2023, and the source is from eBay quarterly reports. And as you can see, look at this drop off from Q1 of 2021, 163 million active buyers, down to 132 million active buyers in Q4. That's a huge drop. What is that, like 15, 16%? Maybe my math is a little bit off there, but I thought that was pretty interesting. So what do you guys think? Comment down below. Is this a sign of things to come for US sellers? Now, again, it's for private sellers in the UK. So if you are a business seller, you're paying fees. Now, is that fair? I don't know. You tell me down below. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. And if this does shift over to other markets like ebay.com, is this only for personal sellers, which is the same as a private seller in the UK, and not business sellers? So if you sell clothing, your account's registered as a business. Are you going to be left holding the bag? Are you going to be competing with everyday personal sellers that are now not paying the 13, 14% in fees? That's the standard final value fees. So it's going to be harder to compete with those folks that are selling out of their closet. Winners and losers on this. I think business sellers are certainly losers in this. Again, they're competing with folks maybe on a small level because, again, personal sellers aren't going to be selling in a high enough volume to affect most business sellers. But it does kind of stink to see others are going to get final value fees waived. I think losers in this would be Poshmark. And again, people are paying 20% in fees selling on Poshmark. But now Poshmark's looking at ebay.co.uk and seeing that, wow, there's going to be a shift of sellers that are going to be really focusing more over there. So how does that affect Poshmark? And we'll see. We'll see how this works out. But I thought I'd put it out since a lot of you that watch the channel, a lot of folks watch this channel in the UK. And I want to make it known that we do value your opinions, your feedback, and value you as viewers of this channel. And I want you guys to know that this is coming, and the US sellers to know that this is happening, and what could be coming on the horizon. So again, comment down below. If you have not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you appreciate the video that we put out, please consider hitting the like button. I'd certainly appreciate that. And be sure to tune in to the live stream. That's on the 8th. That's for UK. That's later on tonight. But for us in the US, it's on Monday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And we will see you guys then and talk to you very soon. Take care.